Okay, what's up, Live Rich Cambodia? Uh, you know I have to say it. You guys know I have to say it. Live Poor USA, Live Rich Cambodia. Quite a bit of difference in the uh, cost of living. You guys already know that. If you can see, I went and got a haircut today. Got up this morning. I could have rode my bike there. I have many times. I've rode my bike to the place to the little barber shop to cut my hair. Um, it's not really far, but it was pretty warm this morning, and I just did not feel like it's Saturday afternoon, about 4 o'clock. So it was Saturday morning. Like I said, it was pretty warm out. Anyways, he's a pretty cool guy, man. He speaks some English, so um, I feel comfortable going over there. He's got a wife and a couple kids, and he's trying to make a living. He only charges $2.50 for a haircut. I don't know what haircuts are in the USA, but I usually give him $5. I give him a $2.50 tip, which is kind of double what he charges. But like I said, he's a really nice guy, and he's trying, and I try to help him out a little bit. You know what I mean? $2.50 isn't really a lot to me. So yeah, I try to help him out anyways. So other than that, I just did little projects around the house. I don't normally say this at the start of the video. So on this channel, Live Rich Cambodia, I have 114 subscribers, man. Thank you guys so much, man. If I could get you guys to hit that subscribe button, just 6 more times, man, I'd have 120 on this channel. That'd be hella cool. And even if you don't, like I said, even if you subscribe and you don't watch the videos, I'm still cool with that. And like I said, even if you don't hit subscribe and you don't watch the videos, I'm cool with that too, man. Like I said, I enjoy making these videos. I get to talk to you guys, try to help some of you out. As you can see on the thumbnail, man, I don't know how you guys can afford it. I watch these videos. I always say I'm not going to watch them, but then I end up watching them because of their thumbnail. People are just paying outrageous amounts of money for everything in the USA, especially groceries. And if you look at the thumbnail that's on this video, if you look at it for very long, you're going to see processed food, man. You know, the USA has so much processed food over there. We seldom eat processed food over here. We just don't. My wife goes to they have these little, like farmers markets or whatever you want to call it. Cambodia doesn't really produce a lot of durable goods, refrigerators, cars, all the rest of it. But the people here are so much in poverty that they do grow a lot of food, and they grow extra food, vegetables and fruit. They raise a lot of chickens, have cows on their property, pigs, whatever. So that's their income. So there's these little farmers markets, man, everywhere's around over here. My wife usually goes and buys fresh vegetables and fruits quite often. Like I said, maybe 20 minutes or so is, I call it a slaughterhouse. I don't know what they call it over here. Anyways, and we go there once every so often and buy meat. We buy pork and beef there. She goes somewhere else and buys chickens. So I'm not really for sure where she buys them, but she buys chicken someplace and then come back and cuts them up, and we put them in the deep freeze, and it saves a lot on on our grocery expense. And not eating all that processed food like, like hot dogs and bologna and I don't know, whatever else people eat over there in the USA. Uh-oh. You hear that sound outside? That is monsoon. Man, it's starting to rain now. It's coming down. It's coming down right now. So if you hear that sound in the background, that kind of pinging sound, that is rain. And it is really starting to rain right now. So, anyways, my wife goes to the market almost every day and buys fresh fruit and vegetables. So we eat pretty healthy over here. Like I said, at 67, I mean, I take vitamins, but I'm seldom sick. And I could stand to lose a few pounds. Yeah, I know. I'm okay. I'm going to use the metric system because that's what they use over here. Okay. Right now, I'm like 114, 115 kilos, which you can do the math. I think there's, I think that's like 200 and, I don't know, whatever pounds. Anyways, I want to get down to 100 kilos, but man, my wife really cooks good food over here. And getting older, I'm less active. Even though I am going to go to the gym tomorrow, I didn't exercise at all today because I went and got my hair cut. Like I said, ran a few other little errands. But to get back to this cost of food, man, I don't know how you guys can afford that. Everything over there is just so damn expensive in the USA, man. And like I said, I'll try again on this video to get you guys to think about moving out of that expensive USA. Everything over here is just so much cheaper. Now, if it's an imported item, I'm going to give you an example. We need to go, we're going to make our monthly trip here soon to Macro Market, Costco, same thing. If it's something from the United States, peanut butter, cornflakes, like Hunt's or Heinz, whatever ketchup. Things like that, like Milo, which is like chocolate milk over. Anyways, just those kind of things that are imported from the USA. No, they are a little bit pricey. Okay, if you come over here and you have a Western appetite, you know what I'm saying, like for Western food, it's going to be a little bit more expensive. But I'm so used now to eating Khmer food, Cambodian food, that it's just part of my day. It's just part of my daily. It's just part of my daily thing. And food prices are going to go up and up and up and up. They are going up over here some. Okay. I asked my wife from time to time, is it more expensive now than it was before? And she said, yeah. And like I said, worldwide, everything, prices are going up. They're not going up here as fast because of the local farmers. Like I said, we live in the suburbs. You get outside around these villages, man, and that's a lot of the only way people can make money is they either have to grow vegetables for themselves or family. They raise chickens for the eggs, for the meat. There's a lot of fruit trees over here that just grow wild. A lot of times they plant them. So, bananas, papayas, mangoes, pineapples, tropical fruit. Pretty cheap over here. All those kinds of food. Anything that's grown locally, rice, everything that's grown locally over here is really, really reasonable. Like I said, if it's imported, a little bit more money. But to get back to you guys, I don't know how, a family of 4 or a family of 6, which is not really that many anymore, I guess. People are having less children, I know, but even just a family of 4, man, I don't know how you guys can afford that. I really, really don't. And in the USA, people don't have, over here we have these little motor scooters, and we have a Honda 125, which is a manual shift. It's just a little scooter. I seldom ride the scooters anymore. We also have a what they used to call a Honda-matic. It's a 150cc. It's an automatic. You just put it in, turn it on, start it up, and you go. You don't need to shift anything. So we don't use a lot of fuel. Maybe like $25 a week in gas, something like that. Maybe, I don't know. I don't use a car a whole lot. I use a car to go to the gym. I use it today to go to the barbershop. But the cost of living over here, it's just so much less. And I just kind of guessed. I looked a little bit on Google. I might have been a little bit high on the prices of the on the thumbnail. But by the time you pay tax and you got to get in the car and go and buy the bags, unless you bring your own bag, I don't know. I just guessed it was around $100 because I've been watching what people have been buying on YouTube. I've been watching what they've been buying, and they take it out of the bag and they say how much it is. So I kind of did a little bit of research. So it can be off a little bit, but you guys get the point, right? It's just so expensive, man. Like I said, I just don't know how you guys can make it over there, and especially the people getting laid off and the salaries and just everything, man. And plus, it's a slower lifestyle of living over here. Okay. One of the things that is difficult for me, living in a third world country, like I said, I live here. This is my home. I'll probably most likely die here. One of the things, difficult things for me over here, is the people really have no sense of time. Okay? Like I said, if you're going to come over here and you're going to think it's some tropical paradise and it's utopia or it's whatever it is, it's not going to be like that. Okay? Like I said, people over here really have a sense of time. Okay? They're going to tell you they're going to be somewhere, and almost all of the time they're going to be late. Okay? I'll give you an example. My wife found somebody to come do something. We needed to have some repairs done to the house. They're relatively cheap. Okay? And I wanted to be here when it was done. I like to be here when it was done. So anyways, it was on a Saturday. And the guy said he was going to be here at 8 o'clock on Saturday morning. So I get up at 3 o'clock in the morning. So I was full of coffee, had everything kind of prepared. Kind of expecting him to be here, 8:15, 8:20. I know how they are over here. They just, like I said, it's not the same. Anyway, so 8:30 came around, and I told my wife, I said, hey, give this guy a call, man. See what's up, man. It's 8:30. 30 minutes is a little bit, okay. She called, no answer. No answer. So I'm like, well, maybe he's busy. Maybe he's away from his phone. I don't know. So 9 o'clock rolls around. Now, keep in mind, he's supposed to be here at 8. 9 o'clock rolls around. Okay? He's still not here. Now by this time, I'm a little bit more than irritated because, come on, man. You said you're going to be here at 8. I've been waiting. 8 o'clock rolls around. 9 o'clock rolls around, and your ass still isn't here. My wife calls him several times, sends him like a SMS, on Telegram, sends him a chat. No response. Okay? So he shows up at 9:30. That's an hour and a half late. Now okay, I understand late. An hour and a half late is unacceptable to me. So he comes so I went outside. I saw him roll up because I have some surveillance cameras. Anyways, he doesn't speak any English. So my wife went out there and I told my wife, tell him to go home. Okay? And he tried to tell her there was a lot of cars on the road, blah, 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 everything. I said, 8 o'clock, I understand, not going to be here exactly at 8. I didn't set my watch for that time, whatever. So he wanted to get started. And I said, no, I don't want. If you're irresponsible enough, brother, to not be here at when you say you are, just go ahead and go on home, man. Evidently what you were doing was more important than coming to my house to come to work 8 o'clock in the morning. So, and I always, anytime somebody does work for me, man, if they do really good work, I treat them nicely, I feed them, give them something to drink, whatever, give them a nice little tip. Anyways, so I told him I didn't need him, go home. So he wanted me to pay him for his time to come here. And I said it wasn't happening. Now, I didn't tell him that because he didn't speak any English, so I told my wife, and she told him, and I could see he was starting to get a little bit irritated. So he told my wife if I didn't pay him some money, he was going to call police. I told my wife, tell him to call the police. Okay? Go ahead and tell him to call the police. And when the police get here, I'm going to put a little bit of cash in his hand, in the police's hand. And when the police leave, which they will, because I'm going to put some cash in their hand, homeboy's not going to have too nice of a day. Okay? So, like I said, that's one of those things, living in a third world country, you just got to tolerate it. He's never come back. I've never called him back. I don't want him to come back. So, but to get back to the grocery prices again, man, you guys can live so cheap over here. You just can't, like I said, you just cannot imagine. The food is better. They use natural fertilizers, cow manure or whatever. So there's not a lot of processed food over here. They do have it. They have it at Macro Market. All the rest of that, stuff is not really good for you. So anyways, if you guys, I'm going to ask you guys one more time, can you guys please hit subscribe? You don't even have to hit like. If you like, you can push that one too. But if you can hit subscribe, I'm at 114. I'd like to be to 120. Like I said, I am so far from making money on YouTube. And if I make money, cool. If I don't, I'm going to do it for 2 years. At the end of 2 years, if I'm not making any money, okay, I gave it a shot. But if at the end of 2 years I am making money, well, I'll keep making them. What the hell? I'm retired anyway, so, all right, man, well, listen, you guys have a good one, and it is raining outside like cats and dogs. I can hear it, and like I said, it is Saturday afternoon, and I'll put this video out tonight. You guys probably won't see it until the next day because I make it for the next day in case YouTube finds something in there that I shouldn't have said or some kind of copyright thing. Then they send it back to me and I got to redo it. So anyways, all right, man, you guys have a good one and be safe out there. Like I said, please click subscribe. Subscribe, please. All right, bye.